The United States of America, the richest country in the history of civilization, has somehow built a retirement system where a 68-year-old veteran has to choose between refilling his blood pressure medication and keeping his air conditioning on in July. Meanwhile, Panama, a country that a disturbing number of Americans couldn't find on a map, will give that same veteran permanent residency half price movie tickets, 25% off every restaurant meal, a tax free pension, and a discount on his electricity bill. All he needs is $1,000 a month in Social Security. Five countries have figured out something the United States apparently hasn't. Retired people are valuable, and they're rolling out the red carpet to prove it. More than 738,000 Social Security checks leave the country every single month, landing in bank accounts from Lisbon to Panama City to Kuala Lumpur. That number has been climbing year after year, and the people cashing those checks overseas aren't trust fund babies or Silicon Valley millionaires. They're teachers, nurses, small business owners, military veterans, people who did the math and realized their savings would last twice as long, sometimes three times as long if they just packed a suitcase and left. The average American retiree spends over $5,000 a month just to maintain a basic standard of living. Health insurance alone runs close to $18,000 a year per person, and that's before anything actually goes wrong. Before the knee replacement, before the prescription costs double, before the property taxes go up again in the same county you've lived in for 30 years. Today we're breaking down 5 countries that have built entire government programs to attract American retirees. These aren't vacation spots. These are places with dedicated visa tracks, legal protections, healthcare systems that actually function, and a cost of living that lets your Social Security check feel like a real salary again. And we're going to be honest about the downsides too, because every paradise has plumbing problems. Let's start with the one you probably haven't even considered. Number 5, Malaysia. If you're surprised to see a Southeast Asian country on this list, you're not alone. Malaysia doesn't get the same magazine covers as Portugal or Costa Rica, but it keeps showing up on every major retirement ranking for a reason. And once you look at the numbers, you'll understand why. The cost of living in Malaysia is roughly 54% lower than in the United States. A couple can live comfortably in Penang, a UNESCO World Heritage City on the northwestern coast of the Malay Peninsula, for somewhere between $1,500 and $2,200 a month. That includes a modern air-conditioned condo, regular dining out, private healthcare coverage, and enough left over to actually enjoy the retirement you spent 4 decades working toward. A one-bedroom apartment in central Kuala Lumpur, the capital, rents for $440 to $640 a month. In the suburbs, that drops to $270. In smaller cities like Ipoh, up in the north, you're looking at $205 a month. For comparison, a similar apartment in a mid-tier American city would cost you $1,600 at the low end, and that's before utilities. Healthcare is where Malaysia pulls away from the pack. The country has internationally accredited hospitals staffed by doctors who trained in the United Kingdom, Australia, and the United States. A comprehensive medical checkup costs between $50 and $100. That same checkup in America runs north of $500. Dental care saves you 70 to 80% compared to American prices. People fly to Penang from other countries specifically for medical procedures, get the surgery, recover in a beachfront hotel, and the total bill is still less than the copay would have been back in Ohio. If you're wondering how that's even possible, welcome to the club. English is spoken across the country, street signs, restaurant menus, government offices. It's a legacy of the British colonial period, and it makes daily life completely manageable without learning a new language. You'll hear Malay, Mandarin, Tamil, and English all in the same conversation at the same hawker stall in Georgetown. And the food. Malaysian food is one of those things that doesn't get talked about enough. A full meal at a hawker center, and we're talking nasi lemak, laksa, roti canai, real food with real flavor, costs between $2 and $4. The dining. Culture alone saves retirees hundreds of dollars a month compared to cooking everything at home in an American suburb. The visa is where it gets complicated. Malaysia offers the MM2H program, which stands for Malaysia My Second Home. It went through a major overhaul in 2021 and again in 2024, and the financial requirements went up significantly. The silver tier, which is the entry level, requires a $150,000 fixed deposit in a Malaysian bank plus a mandatory property purchase, starting around $130,000. That's real capital you're locking up. The visa is renewable for 5 years, and you need to spend at least 90 days per year in the country. The trade-off for that upfront commitment is that your pension, Social Security, investment income, none of it gets taxed by Malaysia. The country runs a territorial tax system, so foreign-sourced income stays untouched through at least the end of 2026. Malaysia isn't for everyone. The deposit is steep, and the tropical humidity is relentless if you're coming from a temperate climate. But if you have the capital and you want your dollar to stretch as far as it possibly can while still having access to world-class hospitals and fast internet, Malaysia delivers quietly and consistently. Now, if Southeast Asia feels like the other side of the planet, the next country on our list is a lot closer to home. Number 4, Costa Rica. Costa Rica didn't land on this list because of the beaches and the volcanoes, though those certainly don't hurt. It's here because of a decision the government made in 1948 that still shapes everyday life nearly 8 decades later. In 1948, Costa Rica abolished its military completely, and instead of spending that money on tanks and fighter jets, they poured it into two things: healthcare and education. You feel the difference the moment you arrive. The country's public healthcare system covers residents at a fraction of American costs, and private options are available for anyone who wants shorter wait times and English-speaking specialists. Costa Rica also runs on 99% renewable energy, hydroelectric, wind, and geothermal. The country contains roughly 5% of the world's total biodiversity packed into an area smaller than West Virginia. You can surf both the Caribbean coast and the Pacific coast, hike through cloud forests, soak in volcanic hot springs, and watch howler monkeys steal your breakfast from the patio railing of your rented villa. That last part isn't a joke. They will take your toast. The Pensionado residency visa requires proof of at least $1,000 per month in pension income. Social Security qualifies, military pension qualifies, private company retirement qualifies. The application is straightforward, the requirements are publicly listed, and over 30,000 Americans already live in the country, so you won't be figuring anything out from scratch. There are English-speaking expat communities in just about every region, monthly meetups, and clubs for everything from hiking to birdwatching to competitive pickleball. Monthly costs for a comfortable life run between $1,600 and $3,500 for a couple. If you absolutely need to live on the coast with ocean views, expect the higher end of that range. Inland towns like Atenas and Grisha offer a more affordable life with spring-like weather year-round, temperatures between 70 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and zero need for either heating or air conditioning. Your utility bills basically disappear. Atenas was once voted the best climate in the world by National Geographic, and while that claim gets repeated so often it's practically a town slogan, you understand why people say it once you've spent a January morning sitting on your terrace in short sleeves, watching the coffee farms below your house. The downsides are real, though. Infrastructure outside major cities can be rough. Roads in rural areas range from adequate to genuinely questionable. Internet connectivity has improved dramatically over the past decade, but it's still inconsistent in remote areas. And while the Pura Vida lifestyle sounds idyllic in a YouTube video, the bureaucratic process of getting set up, opening bank accounts, navigating local offices, will test your patience in ways you weren't expecting. Plan for 3 to 6 months of administrative headaches, and you'll be pleasantly surprised when it only takes 2. But for retirees who want warmth, nature, affordable healthcare, and an established community of Americans who already know the ropes, Costa Rica has been delivering on that promise for decades. If you're getting value from this so far, do us a favor and hit the subscribe button. We put out new videos every week covering retirement, money, and the kind of practical information that actually helps you make a decision, not just dream about one. The next 3 countries on this list are where things really pick up. Number 3, Spain. There's a reason half the retirees in Europe end up at least considering Spain. The country gets over 3,000 hours of sunshine per year, which works out to more than 8 hours of sunlight every single day on average. Compare that to Seattle at about 2,170 hours, or London with roughly 1,400. Spain is practically bathed in light, and that light shapes the entire culture, from the open-air restaurants on every corner to the fact that dinner doesn't start until 10 p.m. because the sun only set an hour ago. Spain's healthcare system is consistently ranked among the best in the world. The universal public system, called the SNS, is available to all legal residents. Private insurance, for those who want it, costs around €150 a month, which is roughly $165. For that, you get access to private hospitals, shorter wait times, and English speaking doctors across the major cities and coastal regions. Compare that to the United States, where the average retired couple spends north of $300,000 on healthcare over the course of their retirement. In Spain, that number collapses like a house of cards in a strong breeze. The non lucrative visa is Spain's retiree pathway. It requires proof of passive income of about 28,800 euros per year, which comes to roughly $31,000. For a dependent spouse, add another 7,200 euros annually. The visa doesn't allow you to work in Spain, but if you're retiring, that's sort of the point. You're not looking for a job. You're looking for a life where the job isn't the first thing you think about every morning. A couple can live comfortably in Valencia, one of the most popular expat cities on the Mediterranean coast, for roughly 2,200 to 2,800 euros per month. That covers a furnished apartment, groceries from the local markets, dining out a few times a week, and enough left over to enjoy the Fallas Festival in March or catch a flamenco performance on a Wednesday night just because you can. Madrid and Barcelona run higher, between 2,500 and 3,800, but you're getting world-class museums, direct international flights, and neighborhoods where expat communities have been established for decades. Smaller coastal towns along the southern coast of Andalusia, places like Nerja or Mijas, or the Canary Islands off the coast of Africa, bring costs down considerably while keeping the sunshine and the healthcare access intact. Some retirees in the Canary Islands report monthly budgets under 1,800 euros for a couple in a subtropical climate with no heating bills and no snow to shovel. Spain has a tax treaty with the United States specifically designed to prevent double taxation. Your Social Security, your pension, your IRA distributions, they flow through a framework that keeps you from getting taxed twice on the same retirement income. The catch? The visa process is an exercise in patience. Spanish bureaucracy is legendary, and not in a way that anyone celebrates. Consulate appointments fill up months in advance. The paperwork requirements are meticulous, and a missing document means starting over. Learning Spanish isn't technically required for the visa, but outside of the major expat zones, English speakers are less common than travel blogs suggest. Investing a few months in the language before you arrive pays off enormously, but once you're through the paperwork gauntlet, what you get is a country where afternoon naps are practically a civic institution. Dinner is a 3-hour social event, and people have somehow figured out how to make life feel less like a race and more like something worth being awake for. And this is where things get really interesting. Number 2, Portugal. Portugal has become so popular with American retirees that interest in retiring in Portugal grew by 900% in recent years, according to search data. Over 10,000 retired Americans currently receive their Social Security payments deposited directly into Portuguese bank accounts. In the country's D7 visa, also known as the passive income visa, has one of the lowest entry barriers of any residency program in Western Europe. The D7 visa requires a minimum passive income of 920 euros per month as of 2026, which is right around $1,000. No massive bank deposit, no mandatory property purchase, just proof that you can sustain yourself through pension income, Social Security, dividends, rental income, or similar sources. For a spouse, add 50% of the base amount. For each dependent child, add 30%. You do need to show a year's worth of savings in a Portuguese bank account, which amounts to about 11,000 euros. Compared to Malaysia's $150,000 deposit, this is a fundamentally different conversation. Portugal ranks as the 7th safest country in the world, according to the Global Peace Index. The Algarve region in the south enjoys over 300 days of sunshine per year, with world-class beaches, golf courses, and a climate that makes the entire southern coast feel like a permanent vacation. Lisbon, the capital, offers direct flights to New York, Newark, Boston, Miami, and San Francisco. Porto, the second largest city, is famous for its riverside architecture, its port wine cellars, and a cost of living that's noticeably cheaper than the capital. A couple can live comfortably in Porto on 1,200 to 1,500 euros per month. In Lisbon, budget 1,500 to 2,000 euros. In the Algarve, costs land somewhere in between. With the added benefit of beaches you don't have to share with 8 million tourists outside of peak summer months. Groceries are significantly cheaper than in the States, particularly local produce, seafood, wine, and olive oil. A bottle of perfectly good Portuguese wine costs 3 to 5 euros at the supermarket. A full seafood dinner for two at a local restaurant in Porto runs about 35 euros. And you'll walk home through cobblestone streets along the Douro River, wondering why you waited so long to do this. Portugal's healthcare system ranks in the global top 25. Once you become a legal resident, you can enroll in the public system called the SNS and access healthcare at minimal cost. Private insurance is available, affordable, and widely used by expats. Many doctors in the major cities and the Algarve speak English fluently. A private consultation costs a fraction of what the same appointment would run in any American city. The US and Portugal have a tax treaty to prevent double taxation, so your retirement income isn't getting hit from both sides. Portugal's old non-habitual resident tax program, which gave new residents a flat 10% rate on pension income, is no longer available to new applicants, but the overall tax burden for retirees remains manageable, especially when you factor in the lower cost of everything around you. After 5 years of legal residency, you can apply for permanent residency or Portuguese citizenship. Portugal allows dual citizenship, meaning you wouldn't need to surrender your American passport. The one thing to keep an eye on, in April 2026, Portugal's parliament approved changes that may extend the residency to citizenship timeline for non-EU citizens from 5 years up to 10. If citizenship is part of your plan, track that legislation before you commit. The downsides are worth mentioning. Portugal's popularity has pushed up rents in Lisbon and parts of the Algarve over the past few years. Finding affordable housing in the most desirable neighborhoods isn't as easy as it was in 2019. And Portugal's immigration agency, AMA, has been dealing with significant processing backlogs that can slow down permit approvals. Patience isn't optional here, it's part of the package. But the combination of low financial barriers, excellent safety, reliable healthcare, walkable cities with actual character, and a legitimate path to European residency makes Portugal one of the strongest options for any American retiree doing serious research. And then there's number one, the country that has been doing this longer and more aggressively than anyone else on the planet. Number one, Panama. Panama didn't accidentally end up at the top of this list. The country has been actively recruiting foreign retirees since 1987, when it launched the Pensionado Visa program, and in the nearly 4 decades since. No other country on earth has matched the sheer volume of benefits Panama hands to retirees who walk through the door with a qualifying pension. The Pensionado Visa requires a lifetime pension income of just $1,000 per month. Social Security qualifies. Military pension qualifies. Private company pension qualifies. If you purchase property in Panama worth at least $100,000, that income threshold drops to $750 a month. A married couple can combine their pensions to meet the requirement. There's no maximum age limit, and despite the name, there's no minimum age either. If you have a qualifying lifetime pension at 45, you can apply. And here's the part that separates Panama from every other country we've covered today. The moment your visa is approved, you receive immediate permanent residency, not a temporary permit, not a provisional phase with hoops to jump through later. Permanent residency from day one. The only country on this list that offers that. You also become eligible for Panamanian citizenship after 5 years. And Panama recognizes dual citizenship, so your American passport stays right where it is. But the residency card is just the ticket through the front door. The discount program is what makes retirees' jaws hit the floor the first time they see the full list. With a Pensionado Visa, you receive 50% off entertainment nationwide. Movies, concerts, sporting events, theater performances, all of it, half price for life. Hotels give you 50% off Monday through Thursday and 30% off on weekends. Restaurants cut 25% off your bill at sit-down restaurants and 15% off at fast food chains. Airlines knock 25% off tickets for flights leaving from Panama. You get 20% off doctor's visits, 15% off hospital bills when you're paying out of pocket, 10% off prescription medications, and 15% off dental and eye exams. And no, that's not the complete list. Electricity, water, phone, internet, cable television, all discounted 25%. You can import a brand new car tax-free every 2 years. You get a one-time duty exemption to import household goods up to $10,000. There's a 15% discount on personal loans and a 1% reduction on your mortgage interest rate if you buy a home. Panama uses the United States dollar as its currency. No exchange rate surprises. No conversion fees eating into your pension. No waking up to find out a currency fluctuation just cost you 6% of your monthly budget overnight. And Panama operates on a territorial tax system. If your income is earned outside the country, your Social Security, pension, investment income, none of it is taxed by the Panamanian government. Healthcare in Panama City is excellent. The country has Johns Hopkins affiliated hospitals where procedures cost 50 to 70% less than American prices, and many of the physicians trained at medical schools in the United States. A knee replacement that costs $50,000 or more in the States can run under $15,000 in Panama City, including the hospital stay and physical therapy. Prescription medications are available at pharmacies without the insurance middleman markup that inflates prices back home, and your pensionado discount knocks another 10% off. For routine care, many retirees report paying less per year in total medical expenses than they used to pay per month for insurance premiums alone. Outside the capital, healthcare access thins out, so retirees who settle in mountain towns like Boquete or beach communities along the Pacific coast should plan their healthcare logistics ahead of time and consider keeping a relationship with a Panama City hospital for anything serious. Cost of living varies depending on where you plant yourself. In Panama City, a comfortable life for a couple runs $3,000 to $4,800 a month, which covers private health care, unrestricted air conditioning, imported groceries, and a reasonable emergency cushion. In Boquete, a mountain town in the Western Highlands with a cool climate and a tight-knit expat community, costs drop to $1,200 to $1,500 for a simpler lifestyle. Boquete hosts an annual jazz and blues festival, sits in the middle of an active coffee-growing region, so your morning cup is genuinely local, and evening temperatures require a light jacket year-round. If you've spent 30 years sweating through Florida summers, Boquete feels like someone finally turned the thermostat to a reasonable setting. Panama is also the only place on Earth where you can watch the sunrise over the Pacific Ocean and the sunset over the Atlantic, thanks to the S-shaped curve of the isthmus. It won't help with your visa application, but it does remind you that you're living somewhere genuinely unusual. The downsides? Panama City is hot and humid 12 months a year, and the rainy season from May through November is not gentle. Traffic in the capital is chaotic in a way that would make a Los Angeles commuter nostalgic for the 405. The application process, while cleaner than most countries on this list, still requires a licensed Panamanian lawyer and takes 3 to 6 months to finalize. And while English is common in tourist areas and expat neighborhoods, outside those zones, you need Spanish. Period. But Panama has been running this program for almost 40 years. The infrastructure for retirees, the legal framework, the discount system, the dollar economy, the tax exemptions, it all adds up to a country that didn't just open the door for American retirees. It built a welcome center, trained the staff, printed a brochure in English, and started handing out coupons at the airport. So what do all 5 of these countries have in common? They looked at the math. They saw millions of Americans heading toward retirement with savings that won't stretch far enough at home, and they said, we have room, we have sunshine, we have doctors, and your money goes further here. Come on over. Whether it's the mountain air in Boquete, the cobblestone streets of Porto, the 3-hour dinners of Valencia, the cloud forests of Atenas, or the hawker stalls of Georgetown, there's a version of retirement out there that looks nothing like what you were told to expect. A version where your savings don't run out before you do, where a doctor's visit doesn't require a second mortgage, where the biggest decision you make on a Tuesday is whether to have lunch at the seaside restaurant or the one with the courtyard. For a growing number of Americans, that's exactly why they're going. If this video changed how you think about retirement, subscribe to the channel. We break down the money, the logistics, and the real trade-offs of living abroad every single week. No fluff, no sponsored paradise tours, just the numbers and the facts you actually need. And if you want a deep dive into any one of these 5 countries, drop the name in the comments. Whichever country gets the most requests, that's the next video we build.